Yo guys, Features Gaming here, welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we are back with another video, and today I'm going to be rating Connect trains, as this is an idea suggestion from Reese Dunn, I believe that's how you say their name, and that is what we are going to be doing today, and I thought it was a really good idea, so I thought I would do it. So, if we go to play and we click the driver one, and then wait until this loads up, we go down to connect. I am going to be rating all of these trains. Now thankfully there's not a lot of them, like, you know, the connect stations, so this should be a bit of a shorter video from the last one. So let's get started, and once again we're just going to go down the list. So the first one, the class 158/0, 90 miles an hour with a 3-car train. So it looks to be like a general, like, commuter train, you know, not something like, you know, like a HST or, you know, anything of that caliber. It does, you know, just look like a normal commuter train. Yes, it's okay. I mean, to be fair, I mean, I don't really know much about trains. I'm just going to go off, you know, how they look and, you know, my kind of personal favorite. And I haven't driven all of the trains, or if I have, some of them I distinctly remember. So I'm going to try and, you know, rate them as much as I can. So, yeah, I guess it's a good train. The only kind of thing I have to go off is, you know, that it's only 90 miles an hour and only 3 cars. I'd say, you know, trying to be efficient in this train, yes, it's okay. I can't remember the sound of the trains, unfortunately. I'm not a massive train expert. I'm just mainly going to go off how they look. I mean, it looks pretty good. I would maybe give the 158 maybe an 8 out of 10, I would say, for the 158. And for the next train, which is the slightly shorter version of the 158, once again, kind of looks the same, but because it only has 2-car trains, in my kind of view, that's a bit of a downside, so I'll probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. But the 158 getting the 8, so a 0.5 deduction for just having lesser cars. Now we're moving on to the class 168, a 100 mile an hour train with 4 cars. Now, if I am going to be honest, it's a very weird design on the front, and probably not a design I would go for. I'm not really a massive fan of this design, if I'm going to be completely honest. I mean, it's fine to, you know, drive around, you know, don't get me wrong, but it's not a sort of design I particularly like. So my rating for this, I mean, I do have to take the 100 mile an hour and 4 car into consideration. So as a rating, I would probably give it maybe close to a 6 out of 10, I would say. I'm not really a massive fan of this design. So 168, you're getting a 6 out of 10 for me. Now on to the class 170, another 100 mile an hour train with 3 cars, and this front train, I can get on with it. But again, probably not one that I particularly like. It's a bit of a weird design, but I kind of like what they were trying to do, if that makes sense. Only 3 cars, so the 170 probably a bit lower than the 158, but massively better than the 168. 170, you're probably going to get a solid 7.5 out of 10 from me. Now on to the class 185, another 100 mile an hour train, but only 3 cars. So again, a little bit of a, you know, like funky kind of design. It's okay. I wouldn't say it's the best. Again, only 100 miles an hour. Again, as a rating, I probably might have to go same with the 170, maybe a 7.5 or maybe a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I'll go with that. 185, you're getting a 7 out of 10 from me. The class 321 now, another 100 mile an hour train, 4-car train. I don't like this front. I do not like this front at all, so I think straight away it's got to be down there. 321. You're getting a 2.5 out of 10 from me. I really don't like this front design. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll be generous and give you a 3 out of 10, but probably that at max. I can't give you any higher. And moving on to the class 331 or 331, however you want to say it. Another 100 mile an hour train, 3 carriages, and I kind of do like this train, don't get me wrong. a nice design on the front, and obviously, you know, a nice commuter train. So 331, probably gonna get an 8 out of 10 from me. And the sister kind of 3311, I guess, which is a 4-car train, 100 mile an hour. And I do like the kind of like rainbow thing, you know, of SCR supporting the LGBTQ plus community. I really enjoy that slight touch. So for that, and because it's 4 cars as well, I'm going to have to, you know, up the rating a little bit. 8.5 out of 10 you're getting from me. Now, the Class 333, the Fishbowl, as it's more commonly known in SCR. Another 100 mile an hour train, 4 cars. I mean, it was meshed, don't get me wrong. It certainly looks a bit, you know, a lot better than what it used to. But again, not really a kind of train I would probably go on, in my opinion. But it's still probably better. So Fishbowl, maybe a 6.5 out of 10 rating from me. The Class 350 now, another 110 mile an hour train. So 10 miles an hour quicker than the normal Connect trains. Again, with 4 cars. So that's going to have to bump up the rating. But again, kind of like the front design. I mean, yes, I kind of get what they were trying to do. But again, it's not really kind of a design I particularly like. So for a rating of the 350, I might have to go with a 7.5 out of 10 from me. I think that's what I'm going to give the Class 350, 7.5. On to the noob train, the Class 357. Obviously, one of the first trains you get when you first joined the game. 4-car train, 100 mile an hour. Yes, I've looked at this for quite some time when I, you know, joined this game, you know, 7 years ago. Well, I mean, you know, before, you know, as I joined, you know, these were paper trains, you know, they weren't actually, you know, a thing. If I had to give a rating of the 357, I might give it probably a 7 out of 10, I would say, for the 357. Yes, I mean, it's an okay design, but I don't know, maybe a 7.5 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10 for the 357, I think. Already getting close to the, I guess, back of the thing, or the end, for the Class 377, another 100 mile an hour train, but a 5-car train this time. So I think this is the first 5-car train we have in the Stafford Connect fleet. And again, kind of, I guess, kind of like this idea of the front. Pretty good train. I would probably give this one an 8 out of 10. Class 380 now, a 100 mile an hour train, 3-car train, and again, another bit of a, you know, funky design here. Again, probably not a train that, I mean, it looks groovy. It looks pretty cool, I would say, but not really one that, I guess, you know, I can't think of the word. I mean, it's cool, it's unique. It's not really one that I would particularly like though, but yeah, it stands out. You can really signify that this is a 380 from a quick glance. With it being 100 miles an hour, again, pretty good. 3-car train, knocking it down a little bit. 380, you're probably going to get a 7.5 out of 10 from me. And onto the 4-car version of this train, so I'm going to have to probably bump it up a little bit to maybe an 8 out of 10 for the 380 as well. Now, the new edition train from version 1.8 is the Class 444, and I remember when I first drove, you know, drove this train, or driven this train, whatever the right terminology is. I wasn't a massive fan of the interior, and the front of it, to me, looks not really that good, so it's not really one I particularly like. Again, it is a 5-car train, 100 mile an hour, so pretty good rating, but again, I can't give this one a high rating, probably a 6 out of 10 from me. The Class 458 now, the 100 mile an hour and 4-car train. Again, I'm not really a fan of this front design. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be looking at, in all honesty. So again, probably like the Class 444. I mean, it's probably even more down, maybe a maybe a 5.5 out of 10 from me. I'm not a fan of that. The same thing goes for the other train as well, but it's only 75 miles an hour and only a 5-car train. So 458, that's a 5 out of 10. The Class 465 now. Probably one that I like, but for the wrong reason. Firstly, the front design, it kind of does remind me of a fishbowl, but I kind of like the lowness of the 465. Like, you know, normally these trains are, you know, like quite high in the thing, but I kind of like in the 465 how, you know, you're a bit lower in the seats. Obviously only 75 miles an hour on 4 cars. The only reason I like this train is because obviously when you drive it, when you start moving, it kind of sounds like, you know, an F1 engine, you know, where you go through the gears, if you've ever watched a Formula 1 or like heard the start. Yes, it doesn't sound identical. That's kind of like what it reminds me of, and as a result, we've kind of like, or I've nicknamed the 465 to, you know, the F1 train. It just reminds me of that, you know, sort of vibe. But in terms of actually, you know, like efficientness of the 465, probably would have to give it 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. But in terms of how I like it, probably a 9. I actually really enjoy the 465. And on to probably one of the most loudest trains of them all in the entire Stepford fleet, not just the you know, Stepford Connect fleet. The Class 68 100 mile an hour train, only 3 cars, but obviously 2 locomotives either side, adding to the 3. So actually a 5-car train. Well, I would do it as a 5-car train, and I would stop at a 5-car marker pulling into a station. It does give the kind of like old classicness of a train, which I kind of like, but not, you know, fully like locomotive thing. So I'm you know, I'm going to bump up the rating because of that as well. But in terms of, you know, in terms of like how the train actually performs, not really a fan of it. And, you know, if we're actually, you know, talking about, you know, like emissions of this train, the emissions, you know, with the smoke pouring out of, you know, the locomotive, that would not do well for, you know, like pollution and stuff like that. But in terms of, you know, the actual looks of the train, you know, like the kind of like old classicness feeling of it, would probably give it maybe 8 out of 10, I would say. On to another classic train that I always seem to have, you know, seen when I was back in the grinding days. The new meshed Class 707, obviously mesh from when I used to drive this all the time. 100 mile an hour train, 5-car train, pretty good train. I kind of like, you know, the simplistic front design, I would say. 707, probably 8.5 out of 10. Good train. Now on to another train I kind of enjoy, the Class 717. The only downside I kind of have about this train is that it only goes 85 miles an hour, but I do like the 6-carness of it, you know, the first 6-car train in the Stepford Connect fleet, and obviously the new release to 1.8.3. So yeah, I do enjoy the front design. Similarly, you know, to the Class 717, it's pretty much exactly the same. And yeah, pretty good train. 717, jump with the F1 train. 8.5 out, no, not 8.5, 9 out of 10. The Class 720 now, another 100 mile an hour train, 5-car. And I gotta be honest, I do actually kind of like this front design. I'm not gonna lie, I really do enjoy it. Obviously, with it being 100 miles an hour, again, it ticks a box. Ticks a box. 5 cars, again, it ticks another box. Class 720, probably a solid 9 out of 10 again for me. And the Class 730, 110 mile an hour train, and also 5 cars. I will be honest, I'm not really a fan of this front design. I don't really get it. I don't get why there's window wipers. Well then again, actually, you need to have the window wipers. Yeah, every train has one, but I'm not really a big fan of this, you know, design, if I'm going to be completely honest. But it is a 110 mile an hour train and a 5-car train, so 730, 8 out of 10 from me. So that is me rating all of the Connect trains. I've got to say, my personal favourites probably either the 717, 720 or the F1 train. Leaning more maybe towards the 717 because, you know, I just kind of like driving 5-car trains. But I do like the engine of the 465, and the 720 just looks cool. But probably 717 out of these things for now. So obviously, I'm just going to say this is completely based on my own opinion. Like, you know, I'm not, you know, trying to say anything bad about these trains. These are just the, you know, trains that I personally feel like and my own opinion. So if you want to roast me in the comments, feel free to do so. And also do leave me some comments of the ratings that you would give to these trains, or if you have any disagreements, agreements, again, do let me know in the comment section below. Like the rating the Connect stations. If you want to go ahead and do this video, again, by all means, be my guest. You don't need to mention me in the video. Go ahead and do your own video of rating the trends and everything. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Make sure to drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe for more content, and I will see you guys in the next video or stream. But until then, take care and peace out.